Hey there, e-commerce enthusiasts. It's me, back after a really long time, and it's amazing to see you guys again. So some of you may be wondering where I've been for the last 2 years, and that's building my experience as an e-commerce seller on Bol.com. I've also been teaching a few of you students watching this video right now, and it's been a pleasure to have been able to share that knowledge with all of you. Now, for today's video, we're going to talk about Alibaba and how you can use it to your advantage when becoming a successful seller on Bol.com. But before we jump right into the video, I want to state by saying that I'm proud to be starting my own online course. You can find more information by taking a look at the website bolmastercourse.com. Now, this course will teach you everything there is to know about how to become a successful seller and will provide you with way more insight than my YouTube videos. But before I want to release the course, I want to have a pre-sale course. And this pre-sale course is available to everyone, and you can get at least 25% off the pre-sale course if you order it at least 1 week before the date of the event. Now, the pre-sale course is meant to be a way for me to identify what the best way to carry out this online course is. And that is why in the pre-sale course, we are going to have an online YouTube live stream where I can discuss what I plan to talk about, and I would love to hear the feedback that you would like me to implement while making the videos for the online course. You can find out more information again by going to the website bolmastercourse.com, and over there you can see exactly what I plan to carry out. Now, don't forget that students who register earlier get a 25% discount as well as a discount for the online course when it is released. So be sure to check it out. And apart from that, let's dive right into the video. So for those of you who don't already know, Alibaba is a massive marketplace where a lot of people, a lot of suppliers sell their products there. You can find lots of competitors and you can read more about the type of products they sell on this platform. It's kind of like a treasure trove for e-commerce entrepreneurs, and it opens incredible opportunities for sellers like you guys. So one of the main advantages of using Alibaba is that it has products in every single category. If you look on this website right here, you can see it starts from consumer electronics, apparels and accessories, beauty, home garden, whatever you're looking for, Alibaba probably has it. Now, if you scroll down, what I think is the best way to go about for looking for products is to look at this area right here. You can see the 6 tables starting with new arrivals, top ranking, saving spotlight, and so on. Now, these provide a really good insight for you as someone who wants to become successful on what kind of products you should get. So it might seem really daunting for you when you're looking at this. You might be thinking, oh, there's a lot of things, what do I have to look out for? And that's what I'm gonna help you go through today. So for example, let's say that we wanted to look at some new arrivals. This means products that have recently entered the market and is most likely trending in a market somewhere in the world. So scrolling down, we're able to see all these different categories. And if you click on, for example, consumer electronics, you can see what kind of products have just entered the market in this specific category. Now, underneath that, you can look at more specific keywords or terms, which will help result in a better search. So for example, if we're looking at fast charging or wireless chargers that have just recently arrived, this is what pops up. And now you can take a scroll, see if there is something which perhaps pops into your mind, which does not exist yet in today's market, and we can check it out. Now, for example, we're just gonna click on a random product. I think this product looks really cool. I've yet to see a lot of it being applied in today's world. Now we can look more into what this product is and what it has to offer. So when clicking on the product, you have a ton of information that you're provided. One of the most important is this right here. So this basically tells you how much the supplier is going to sell you the product for when you buy a different quantity. So the more quantity you buy, obviously the cheaper the product gets, and that means in the end the cheaper it is for you. When we look on the right, we have the minimum order quantity is 1 piece. Okay, some sellers have a higher minimum order quantity, or MOQ for short, and you can see that it will take them 7 days to at least around 7 days to package it and then to ship it to you. So this does not include the shipping time. As we scroll down, we can see that normally if you choose some products, there might be certain colors or features that you can choose. Over here, it's only one. And yeah, underneath that, you can select how many of each quantity you want to get. For example, they have different socket plugs, and these are all the options that you can choose from. Now on the right, we have more about the company. So when you click on this, for example, so when we click on this company right here, we're brought to an external page. And over here, we can see more about what the company does, what it sells. Sometimes we can even see how many products they've sold and to how many different clients. But let's talk about that later. Let's focus on the product for now. So underneath that, we see that it costs €26.30 per piece. You can order at least one piece. Sometimes it changes based on how expensive the product is or how much the supplier wants someone to buy. Underneath, you can see the quantity pieces, the lead time. So obviously, if you buy more than 1,000 pieces, it may take longer to package it and have it shipped off because the manufacturer has to manufacture the products. Underneath, there's customization. Sometimes they don't do customization, so you have to look out. If you do want to have your own logo customized on the product, most of the time it's possible. Some of the requirements are normally that your MOQ or your minimum order quantity has to be at least this amount of pieces. So for this product specifically, it's 500, but for other products, it could be even more, it could be less. It normally depends on the price of the product. Other than that, they also provide customized packaging. Almost all of the suppliers on Alibaba provide this, so it's not an issue that you have to worry about. However, for some of you, it might be cheaper to get a customized packaging here in the Netherlands or in Belgium, and that's because firstly, it takes less amount of space in a shipping container coming all the way from China, which means that it's going to be cheaper. Secondly, it might be quicker to also manufacture it over here locally. Lastly, there's graphic customization for this specific product. Now underneath that, you can see the shipping. Sometimes it says exactly, sometimes it gives you a range of days of which it's gonna arrive by. Payments, these are the payment options that they allow, and returns and refunds. You can check out the conditions in your own time. Now, as we scroll down, we see the product details. So the first step is the product description, and that basically tells us, what the product we're buying is. Specifically in the overview, depending on which category you're looking at, they have certain filters that the manufacturer has to fill out. So for this, you can see it on the left here. And then you can see the supplyability. That's how much the manufacturers have in stock in a certain amount of time. Packaging, delivery, already mentioned that. And now we get to the product description. So sometimes you get a video, sometimes it's only pictures with descriptions. These you can actually use in your bol.com listing. You just have to make sure that you change, or it is advised for you to change the text into Dutch so that our customers are more inclined to purchase it from us. Now underneath that, we got the product description. This is the most important ones that the manufacturers want to highlight. And underneath here, we got all the information about the product. So like I said, if you do want to use these photos for your Bol listing, you absolutely can. Most manufacturers do not have an issue with that. However, it is advised to change the text to Dutch. Now scrolling towards the end of this page, you can see that some other recommendations by the sellers. These are products that they sell from their own company. Some reviews, and underneath here you got the company profile. So second tab right here, we're brought here and you can read more about the company itself, when it began, and what kind of products it specializes in. This is normally pretty important for you as a seller because you want to choose a company that has already been established for quite a long time. That means that your reputation is built up, and that means that the products you're going to get are going to be more reliable for you, and that means that your customers are going to be more satisfied. Now, when we look at the right, we can see exactly more about the company. So we have the response time. That means the time that it takes for them to get back to your messages. We have the on-time delivery rate, and that's the higher is obviously the better, and the amount of transactions done so far. So like I said, when we click on this tab, we're brought to the company profile. In the company profile, you can scroll to see exactly what kind of products they sell, so all the range of products. You can also For example, you can also check out the certificates. Sometimes, depending on what type of product you buy, it is required to have a certificate to prove that the products are established and that they are safe for consumption by the consumers. Now we can check out on these tabs the products they sell. So by clicking this, we're brought to this page where you can see everything that is listed. If we go to the company profile, we can see the overview. So this is where you can read more about the company. And it is advised that in the long term, if you want to work with only one company, that you do research on it to make sure that the company is reliable and successful. Now, how exactly can we deem if it's reliable or successful? Well, first of all, we want to make sure that the years established are at least about 8 years. So in this case, 2016, that makes it about 7. You can look at the total annual revenue. Obviously, the more the better, but it also depends on the kind of products that they sell. It doesn't mean that if the total annual revenue is low, that it's an unreliable company. It could also mean that the products they sell are really cheap and that it takes more quantities to increase the revenue. Now, scrolling down, we can see selected products and then the product capacity. You can read more about the factory information. For me, that's not really an important part about the company. You can look at the research and development, the trading capabilities. So maybe this is important for you as a seller to find out exactly where your competition lies. So scrolling down, we can see that most of it is in North America, Southeast Asia, and then we have about 20% in Europe. So why is this important? Is that it may be that your competition in Netherlands and Belgium is quite high because the manufacturers are supplying lots of their products to this area. And if that's the case, then it could mean that there is a high competition, which means that it may be more difficult to make money from it. Obviously, this is something that you have to research yourself to see if that's really the case, because it could be the case that the manufacturers supply a lot of their products to Europe, but it could also mean that on Bol.com, not a lot of these products are being sold yet. It could be that only in these other countries they are selling it. Now, scrolling down, we can see the trade ability. So that's more about the company and the business terms. What's important is to look at the accepted delivery terms. So these are all delivery slangs of how they are going to ship the product to you and what it's going to cost. Now, I would advise, at least initially, to look for a supplier or manufacturer that does DDP shipping. And lastly, when we go to the buyer interaction, we can see the response rate quite high. That's pretty good. A low response time, which is also really good, and a quotation performance. And lastly, when we look at transaction history, we can see 52 transactions and a total of more than 10,000. So when we look more into the transaction history, this could be useful for you. This is, let's say, a deeper research into the company into the manufacturer that you want to work with. We can look for the Netherlands to see exactly how much in transaction value has been delivered to the Netherlands. So as we can see, it's about 2 pages and the values are roughly in the hundreds. And that could mean that could be a good thing for you, because as a Bol.com seller, you want to make sure that there's not a lot of it being supplied in the Netherlands so as to reduce the competition. You can also see the transaction dates. The last one was in 2022, which means that this company has not imported products into the Netherlands in the last year. It is important to look at this because it could be that if you find a trending product and it's really popping off, that you might think that you still have the ability to hop into the market. But then you might take a look at the transaction date and see that there are tons of imports coming in recently that have not been listed on Bol.com yet. This means that when you get your product from this manufacturer, it could be that there are many listings on Bol, which makes the competition even higher and even more difficult for you to sell your products. So just a tip, check out the company and see what kind of transactions they're making to make sure that you stand a chance selling your products. All right, so that was for new arrivals. So now what you can do is do the same thing in these other different categories and eventually you might find a product that you like. And when you do, it is important that you do a quality check. And this brings me to my next point, quality check. So how exactly do you do a quality check? Well, first of all, you want to make sure that when you order your products for the first time, that you order a maximum of about 10 to 50 pieces, depending on the price of the products and depending on what kind of products they are. I mentioned 10 to 50 because it gives you a lot of products that you can play with, and you can see in those range if there are any faulty products or anything that you dislike about the product. Now, you're doing the quality check to make sure that the products that you are selling are reliable and that your customers are going to be satisfied with it. And this is important because if you as a seller are not satisfied with it, then there is a high chance that your customers are not either. You want to make sure that you're able to provide for them the best quality product that you can offer. So usually when you're contacting a supplier, you can always ask if you can get a couple of pieces to test it out. And what they will normally do is tell you yes. Sometimes they make you pay the cost of the product. So let's say one of them costs 5 pieces from the supplier. You might have to pay $50 for 10 pieces to try it out. Sometimes they might offer them to you for free, but you have to pay the shipping cost. And this is usually not the case. You normally have to find a supplier that is pretty large for them to offer you free testers, but where you pay the shipping. Now it brings me to my next part. Let's assume that you found the perfect product, you quality checked it, and it all marked off your criteria. What is the next step? Now you're ordering maybe a large quantity to make sure that you can bring it to the market, and you're looking for the best way to ship it. So I've decided to list down the 3 main methods of shipping, and that is 1 by air, by ship, and by truck and train. So the first one is by air. Now, as you can tell, by air is going to be the most costliest one to do, and that's because it arrives the quickest. So through the air, you can expect a waiting time of around 7 to 10 business days. When you contact your supplier, they will give you a more accurate time frame. But it is important to note that only specific items can travel through air. So not every product will be allowed to go through a plane. And this is because of the restrictions. So what is going by air the best for? Well, if you need a product to come in as soon as possible, let's say your inventory is running really low and you're making a lot of sales, then going through air is probably your best option. It might be costlier in the short run, but it ensures that you can sell more products over time and ensures that your listing is not removed from Bol for having 0 in your inventory. The second one is by ship. Now, shipping by ship usually takes the longest. It can take around 30 to 45 business days, and obviously when you contact your supplier, they'll give you a more accurate time range. However, everything can go through ship. Now, what is shipping by ship the best for? Going through ship is good for if you don't need the product urgently, or if the product is really large, or if you have a large amount of quantity. This is because if you take a large product by plane, it's going to cost you a lot more, and if you take a large quantity of products on plane, it will also cost a lot more. And then it brings me to my last one, which is the train and truck. This is usually the method that I choose for because it's a little bit in between air and ship. So the delivery time is usually 15 to 20 business days, which is actually about half of what shipping by ship takes. And it's also just about double what air takes. So it really is in the middle of these 2 shipping methods. Shipping by train and truck is also one of the best because you can put almost every type of product on it. Some products that cannot travel by train and truck travel by air or by ship. Another reason that this is my favorite method is because the price of shipping through train and truck is usually cheaper with a small quantity of products than shipping by ship and shipping by air, which might be a contradiction because you would think that shipping by ship, which takes a longer amount of time, would be cheaper. However, going through train and truck is an option that you should consider and discuss with your supplier because sometimes it is cheaper to do that than by ship. So to round off what is the best shipping method, I would say to go by train and truck, but you have to make sure that you as a supplier know what is the best for you. Obviously, if you need the product urgently, it may be best to go for air. However, if you need it less urgent or if the product is just way too big to fit either by air or train and truck, then go with the ship. And that brings me to my last point, which is encouraging you guys to do your research on Alibaba. So I would really advise you guys to use Alibaba as a research platform. So this means that you should look at all the types of products that they offer, what is currently trending in the market, in other markets in the world, and perhaps bring it into the Dutch and the Belgian market. As I showed you, all the tools that you can do to help research what is the best type of product and how to use the platform the best. Now that brings us to the end of this video, and I hope that my Alibaba walkthrough has provided you guys with a lot more insight. And obviously, if you have more questions, you can leave them below. And don't forget to check out the Bol Master Course to see how you can benefit from my course. Now I wish you guys a great day and see you in the next video.